The night Adrian Bellucci walked into the laundromat. Emma Clarke was standing beneath flickering fluorescent lights, with a sealed letter pressed against her chest and a rich man's hand wrapped around her wrist. The dryers hummed behind her like restless machines. Rain slid down the front windows in silver sheet. Outside, Brooklyn traffic moved in blurred red and white reflections. But inside Sud's satin laundry, everything had gone still. "You don't even know what you're reholding," the man hissed. Emma did not move. He was one of the expensive customers who used the premium drop-off service, the kind who wore tailored coats, spoke into phones like everyone owed him something, and looked at Emma as if she were part of the floor. His name was Milo Greer. At least, that was the name printed on the receipt he had handed her 3 nights ago, with a black designer coat and a smile that never reached his eyes. Now that smile was gone. His fingers tightened around her wrist. "Give me the letter," he said. Emma's heart pounded hard enough to shake the breath in her throat, but she lifted her chin. Her blue laundromat apron was stained with detergent. Her curls were pulled messily behind her head. Her sneakers were wet from mopping near the door. She looked exactly like what the room believed she was: ordinary, tired, invisible. But she had spent 29 years surviving people who mistook kindness for weakness. "No," she said. Milo laughed under his breath. "You're a laundry girl, and you're re-hurting my wrist." Across the laundromat, a woman folding silk shirts paused. 2 college boys looked up from their phones. An older man near the vending machine slowly lowered his newspaper. Milo leaned closer. "Do you have any idea what men like me can do to women like you?" Emma swallowed. Her fingers curled tighter around the envelope. It was made of thick, cream-colored paper, sealed with dark red wax that had cracked at the edge. A single letter was pressed into the seal. B. She had found it hidden in the inner lining of a black coat while checking pockets before washing. It had not been placed there casually. Someone had cut a slit beneath the seam, tucked it deep inside, then stitched it back together by hand. The moment she discovered it, Milo had appeared behind her, too fast, too ready. That was when Emma knew the letter mattered. "I know exactly what men like you do," she whispered. "That's why I'm not giving it to you." Milo's face changed. His other hand shot toward the envelope. The front door opened. A bell chimed once. Not loud, not dramatic. But somehow every person in the laundromat turned. 3 men stepped inside first, all in black suits, rain shining on their shoulders. They did not speak. They did not look around like normal customers. They entered like they already knew the room belonged to them. Then he walked in, tall, still, dangerous in a way that made the fluorescent lights seem too weak to touch him. He wore a black wool coat over a dark suit. Tattoos rose from beneath his collar and disappeared behind his jaw. Sharp lines against olive skin. His hair was dark, slightly damp from rain. His expression calm enough to be terrifying. The room seemed to shrink around him. Milo let go of Emma's wrist. Not slowly. Instantly, Emma noticed. The man's eyes moved to Milo first, then to Emma, then to the envelope held against her chest. For one long second, he did not breathe. Then he said, in a voice so controlled it chilled the room, "Where did you get that?" No one laughed now. Emma should have been afraid. Maybe she was. Her pulse was beating in her ears. Her wrist ached where Milo had grabbed her. But something in the man's face stopped her from stepping back. He looked not angry. Not yet. He looked like someone staring at a ghost. Emma looked down at the envelope. Then, back at him. "Someone wanted this gone," she said. "I didn't." The man's eyes lifted to hers. Behind him, one of the bodyguards reached under his jacket. The Mafia Boss raised one finger. The bodyguard froze. Milo tried to slide toward the back exit. The Mafia Boss did not look at him when he spoke. "If you take one more step, Mr. Career, you will regret learning how patient I can be." Milo stopped. Emma stared at him. "You know him." The man's gaze stayed on her. "I know what he was sent to steal." The dryers kept spinning. A pair of jeans tumbled behind glass. Somewhere, coins rattled in a machine. Everything ordinary continued. As if the world had not just cracked open in front of Emma's tired little counter. The man stepped closer. Milo shrank back. Emma should have handed the letter over immediately. Any sensible woman would have. But she had learned that rich men with quiet voices could be more dangerous than loud ones. She looked at the black coats behind him. The way every man in the room seemed afraid to blink. And she did not extend her hand. "Who are you?" she asked. A woman near the folding tables made a tiny sound of disbelief. Milo whispered, "Are you insane?" The man's mouth barely moved. Adrian Bellucci. The name hit the laundromat like a sudden drop in temperature. Even Emma knew that name. Everyone in Brooklyn knew it, though most people pretended they didn't. Bellucci was whispered in restaurant kitchens, parking garages, back rooms, police stations, courthouse steps. Bellucci meant power wrapped in silence. Bellucci meant men disappeared from conversations before they disappeared from the city. Emma's fingers trembled against the envelope. Adrian saw it. His gaze moved to her wrist, already reddening from Milo's grip. Something dark crossed his face so quickly, she almost missed it. "Did he hurt you?" Adrian asked. Emma almost laughed, because that was not the question she expected from a man like him. "Infine. That isn't what I asked." The room tightened. Emma held his star. "He grabbed me." Adrian turned his head slightly. One of his men moved. Milo was shoved against a row of washers so fast that several customers gasped. The machines shook. Milo's face went pale. "Mr. Bellucci." Milo stammered. "I can explain." "No," Adrian said. "You can, T." Emma took one step forward. "Don't do that here." Every eye in the room snapped to her. Adrian slowly looked back. Emma felt the full weight of him then. The quiet violence. The authority. The kind of power that did not need to raise its voice because the world had already learned to listen. But she kept going. "There are kids who come in here in the morning," she said. "Families. Old people. Whatever this is. Don't make this place one more ugly thing." Adrian stared at her. For a moment. No one moved. Then, to everyone's shock, he raised his hand again. His man released Milo, though he kept him pinned close enough that Milo did not dare breathe too loudly. Adrian looked at Emma as if she had become more complicated than the letter. "You're protective of a laundromat." Emma's face warmed, but she did not lower her eyes. "I'm protective of places where people still have to live after men like you leave." The silence that followed was deep and dangerous. Then, Something almost like amusement touched Adrian's eyes. Note, softness, interest. Your name. Emma hesitated. The woman near the folding table whispered. Girl. Answer him. Emma ignored her. Emma Clarke. Adrian repeated it quietly. Emma Clarke. The sound of her name in his voice did something strange to the air. Then he held out his hand. Emma looked at it. The envelope felt hot against her palm. It was not hers. It had never been hers. Still, handing it over felt like stepping off the edge of one life into another. Tell me what's inside it, she said. Milo made a desperate sound. She opened it. Adrian's eyes sharpened. Emma quickly said, I didn't, but he wanted it badly enough to hurt me. So before I hand it to anyone, I want to know I'm not helping the wrong person. Adrian stepped closer. One of the college boys muttered, Oh my God. Adrian stopped less than 2 feet from Emma. He was close enough that she smelled rain, expensive wool, and something colder underneath smoke. Maybe. Or leather. His eyes dropped to the red mark on her wrist again, then back to her face. That letter, he said, was written by my mother before she died. Emma's grip loosened. She hid it from men who betrayed her. Adrian continued. For 6 years, I thought it was destroyed. His voice did not break. Men like him probably trained every fracture out of themselves. But Emma heard it anyway, the wound beneath the control. She looked down at the envelope, the wax seal, the hand-stitched hiding place. The desperation of a dead woman preserving one final truth. Slowly, Emma held it out. Adrian took the letter from her hand with unexpected care. His fingers did not touch hers, but they came close enough that she felt warmth. He stared at the seal. For the first time since entering, he looked less like a mafia boss and more like a son. Then Milo laughed nervously. You have no proof I was stealing anything. Adrian did not look at him. The proof, he said softly, is that you're still alive, only because Miss Clarke asked me not to make this place ugly. Emma's breath caught. Milo's face drained of color. Adrian turned toward one of his men. Take him outside. No, Emma said instinctively. Adrian looked at her. She did not know why she spoke. She only knew that if Milo vanished into one of those black SUVs, the laundromat would never feel clean again. Adrian watched the conflict on her face. Then he said to his men, Call the detective. Everyone froze harder. Milo looked terrified. You recalling police? Adrian's mouth curved without humor. I'm calling the one who owes me truth more than favors. His men dragged Milo outside. Emma stood there, shaking now that the danger had moved away from her body and into the world beyond the windows. Adrian slipped the letter inside his coat. Then he looked at Emma's wrist. Come with me. She almost choked. Excuse me. You were seen holding something men would kill for. I have a shift. You have a target on your back. She laughed once. Brittle and disbelieving. That's supposed to convince me. His eyes did not move. No, your intelligence should. Emma hated that he was right. Still, she crossed her arms. I'm not getting into a car with you. Adrian studied her as if no one had said no to him in years. Then he removed a black card from his pocket and placed it on the counter. My driver will stay outside until your shift ends. 2 men will remain across the street. You won't see them unless you need them. I didn't ask for guards. You didn't ask for Milo Greer either. Emma glanced toward the window. Milo was being pushed into a car. Rain blurred the glass, turning the world outside into a painting of headlights and shadows. When she looked back, Adrian was still watching her, not like Milo had, not like the customers did. Adrian Bellucci looked at her like she was a locked door, and he had just realized he did not have the key. Why did you protect it? He asked. Emma's answer came before she could polish it into something safer. Because someone loved you enough to hide it. For the first time, Adrian Bellucci looked away. Only for a second, but Emma saw it. The crack in the armor. Then he turned and walked out into the rain. The bell above the door chimed again. The room exhaled. And Emma Clarke, who had spent her life being invisible, looked down at the black card on the counter and realized every person in the laundromat was staring at her now. Not laughing, staring, as if she had just touched lightning and survived. By morning, the video was everywhere. Someone had filmed the moment Adrian Bellucci walked into Sud's satin laundry. Not the entire confrontation, but enough. Emma clutching the envelope, Milo backing away, Adrian standing in front of her like a storm in a black coat. The caption read, "Brooklyn Laundry Girl Steals from Mafia Boss." By noon, a second video appeared. This one slowed down. The moment Adrian looked at Emma's wrist, the caption changed. Did the Mafia Boss protect her? By sunset, people were coming into the laundromat just to see her. Emma hated it. She hated the whispers, the fake smiles, the customers who suddenly remembered her name, the women who asked if Adrian was handsome in person, the men who joked that she should be careful because mafia guys like girls with secrets. She kept working, sorting whites, folding shirts, tagging coats, smiling when required, pretending her hands did not shake every time a black car slowed near the curb. At 7:30 that evening, Herr Boss, Mr. Kapoor, called her into the back room. He looked exhausted. "Emma," he said gently, "I got calls." She already knew. From who? People asking questions. Police. Reporters. Someone from the building owner's office. He rubbed his forehead. "I'm sorry. I think maybe you should take a few days off." Emma stared at him. "A few days off? I can't afford a few hours off." "I know." "Then why are you saying it like I have a choice?" Mr. Kapoor looked ashamed. "Because men came by this morning, asking what time you leave." The room seemed to tilt. Emma's anger vanished so quickly, it left only cold. "What men?" "I don't know. Not Bellucci's men." These were different. Emma thought of Milo's fingers around her wrist. The letter. Adrian's voice. "You were seen holding something men would kill for." She left through the back door that night, with a canvas bag held tight to her chest. The alley smelled like wet cardboard and old rain. A streetlight buzzed overhead. She took 3 steps before a black SUV rolled into view. Emma froze. The rear window lowered. Adrian Bellucci sat inside. He was not smiling. Of course he wasn't. Men like him probably considered smiling a form of weakness. "Get in," he said. Emma tightened her grip on her bag. "You have a terrible habit of giving orders. You have a terrible habit of standing in alleys while people are hunting you. I'm going home. I know. Your apartment has 2 exits. One broken lobby camera, and a landlord who gave your unit number to a man named Victor Bellucci this afternoon. Emma's blood went cold. You're re-spying on me. I'm keeping you alive. That sounds like something dangerous, men say right before they ruin someone's life. Adrian opened the door and stepped out. The alley seemed too narrow for him. His presence filled it, turned brick walls and trash bins into something cinematic and threatening. I won't force you into the car, he said. Emma laughed softly. That's comforting. But if you walk home alone, you won't make it to your building. Her throat tightened. Adrian's eyes moved across her face. Reading fear, she wished she could hide. Then he did something she did not expect. He stepped back. Not forward. Back, giving her space. My mother's letter named the man who betrayed her. He said, my uncle. Victor. He knows you found it before I did. That makes you a problem he needs, erased or controlled. Emma's stomach turned. Erased. His jaw tightened. I don't use gentle words, when gentle words can get someone killed. She hated him for that. She hated him for being calm. She hated herself for believing him. What was in the letter, she asked. Adrian looked at the rain dripping from the fire escape above them. Proof that my uncle sold my brother to our enemies. Proof that he stole from the family. And a name I never expected to see. What name? Adrian's face changed. Not much, but enough. Leo. Emma waited. Adrian's voice lowered. My brother had a child. Esson. Hidden before he died. My mother knew. Victor knows too. Emma understood then. This was not just about a letter. It was about inheritance. Bloodline. Power. A child. Where is he? I don't know yet. And you think Victor wants him? I think Victor wants him dead. Emma closed her eyes for 1 second. She could have handed the letter to Milo. She could have pretended not to care. She could have washed the coat and let the truth drown in detergent and hot water. But she had not. Now a child she had never met was in danger. Adrian watched her. You're thinking it's your fault. Emma opened her eyes. Isn't it? No. His answer came too fast. Too hard. The fault belongs to men who kill children for power. Something about that sentence settled inside her. Not comfort. Something sharper. Purpose. Emma looked at the open SUV door. I'll get in, she said, but not because you told me to. For the first time. Adrian almost smiled. Noted. She stepped past him and climbed into the car. The leather seats were warm. The windows were tinted so dark. Brooklyn became a private film, outside. Adrian sat beside her but left space between them. Too much space. Not enough. His driver pulled away. Emma watched the laundromat disappear behind rain. Where are you taking me? She asked. Somewhere. Victor can't reach you. That's not an answer. It's the safest one I have. She turned to him. I have rent due. I have a job. I have a life. Adrian's gaze stayed forward. I'm aware. No. You not. Men like you don't understand what it costs. Regular people when trouble shows up. You can move me into some expensive fortress and call it protection. I lose a shift. I lose groceries. I miss rent. I lose my apartment. I disappear for 3 days. People replace me. He looked at her then. There was no pity in his eyes. She was grateful for that. Pity always felt like another kind of insult. "What do you want?" he asked. Emma blinked. "What?" "Your boss will receive triple your wages for every day you miss. Your rent will be handled anonymously unless you refuse. Your apartment will be watched, not entered. Your belongings will remain untouched." She stared at him. "Do you solve everything with money?" "No. Could we fooled me. I solve most things with fear." The quiet honesty startled her. "And me." His eyes held hers. "You?" he said. "I'm trying not to solve at all." The words slipped between them and stayed there. Emma looked away first. Outside, Brooklyn blurred into darker streets. Then, into a private underground garage beneath a glass tower near the waterfront. Adrian's men moved like shadows around the SUV. Doors opened. Elevators waited. Emma followed because the alternative was pretending she was not afraid. The penthouse at the top of the building was all black marble. Soft gold lights, class, walls, and silent money. The city glittered below like a dangerous ocean. Rain ran down the windows in trembling lines. Emma stood in the middle of the room, still wearing her laundromat apron beneath her coat. She looked ridiculous. She felt it. Adrian noticed. He removed his coat and handed it to a waiting man. "Leave us." The men disappeared. Emma stood straighter. "That's worse." Adrian looked at her. "When they re-here, I know exactly how many people can kill me." A faint shadow of amusement crossed his face. "You think I brought you here to kill you? I think you're a man people go quiet around. That usually means something bad." "It does. At least you're honest. Only when lying would waste time." He walked to a bar cart, but did not pour a drink. Instead, he picked up the cream envelope. Emma went still. The letter had been opened now. Carefully. The wax seal preserved. The paper unfolded with almost religious precision. He placed it on the table between them. "You said you wanted to know if you helped the wrong person." Emma approached slowly. "I didn't read it," he said. She looked up. His expression was unreadable. "I waited." "Why?" "Because you asked." The answer struck her harder than it should have. Emma looked down at the letter. The handwriting was elegant and slightly uneven. The ink faded but clear. "My son, if this reaches you, it means I failed to protect the truth while I was alive." Emma did not read more. It felt too private. Adrian watched her stop. "You can read it." "No," she said quietly. "I only needed to know it was real." "It is." His voice had changed. Lower, rougher at the edges. Emma looked at him and saw something terrible beneath the suit. The tattoos. The reputation. A boy who had lost his mother and built an empire out of grief because grief was the only thing no one could take from him. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen. Unknown number. A message appeared. "You should have given the letter to Milo." Her blood turned cold. Another message came. "You have a pretty little apartment." Emma. Adrian was beside her before she could speak. He did not touch her. He simply looked at the screen. The room changed. Not visibly. The light stayed warm. Rain kept sliding down glass. But Adrian Bellucci became something else. Something colder than anger. He took the phone from her hand with careful permission in his eyes. She nodded. He read the message, then looked toward the private hallway. Marco. A bodyguard appeared immediately. Grazie it. Marco took the phone. Emma wrapped her arms around herself. I want to go home. Adrian's gaze snapped back to her. No. There it was again. That command. Her fear hardened into anger. You don't get to decide that. If I let you go home tonight, you will be taken. If you keep me here, I'm still taken. Just by a better-dressed man. His eyes darkened. The words had hit something. Good. Emma thought. Let them. Adrian stepped closer, then stopped himself. She saw it the moment he almost reached for her and forced his hand to remain at his side. I won't cage you, he said, but I won't pretend the door is safe just because you want freedom to feel simple. Emma looked toward the windows, far below. The city glowed without mercy. What happens now? Adrian's voice was quiet. Now we find Leo before Victor does. And me. His gaze moved over her face. Now everyone thinks you matter to me. Emma's breath caught. Adrian looked away. Jaw tense. That makes you useful to my enemies. She should have been relieved by the explanation. Instead, the word useful cut. Right, she said. That's what this is. He looked back. No. But the denial came too late. Emma nodded once, wrapping herself tighter in her coat. Show me where I'm sleeping. Adrian said nothing for a moment. Then he led her down a hallway to a guest room larger than her entire apartment. Cream walls, soft lamps, a bed made in white linen, a private bathroom with marble floors. Emma stood in the doorway. This is too much. It locks from the inside. She glanced at him. He placed a small black device on the side table. Press that if you need anything. I need my life back. His face tightened. I know. She waited for him to leave. He did not move. Then he said, Emma. She looked at him. I did not bring you here because you're useful. Her throat tightened despite herself. Then why? Adrian's eyes held hers in the low light. Because when every person in that laundromat froze, you were the only one who still protected something. He turned before she could answer. The door closed softly behind him. Emma locked it. Then she sat on the edge of the bed in a room worth more than any place she had ever touched and cried without making a sound. Not because she trusted him. Not because she wanted him. Because somewhere in the city, a child named Leo was being hunted by men who believed power mattered more than mercy. And Emma Clarke knew too well what happened to people no one protected. The next morning, she woke to the smell of coffee and the sight of 3 dresses hanging on the wardrobe door. Emma stared at them like they were weapons. None were too tight. None were humiliating. All were beautiful in different ways. Deep green, navy, soft burgundy. Each came with shoes, a quote, and a note, written in sharp black ink. You don't have to wear these. A second line sat beneath it. But if you choose to come downstairs, Victor will be there. Emma read the note twice. Then she showered, twisted her curls into a low bun, and chose the burgundy dress because it looked least like surrender. When she entered the penthouse dining room, the conversation stopped. Adrian stood at the far end of the room in a black suit, his hands resting on the back of a chair. Beside him sat an older man with silver hair, elegant posture, and eyes that smiled before his mouth did. Victor Bellucci. Emma knew before anyone said his name. The man looked too polished to be innocent. His gaze moved over her body, with the familiar slow cruelty of someone measuring what he could dismiss. "So this is the laundromat girl," Victor said. Emma smiled politely. "And you must be the uncle everyone regrets, inviting—" Silence. Adrian's eyes flickered. Victor's smile sharpened. "Brave. Underpaid," Emma said. "Brave sounds expensive." A younger woman seated near the window laughed once before hiding it behind her teacup. She was stunning in a cold, perfect way, with glossy black hair and diamonds at her ears. Victor gestured toward her. "Valentina Cassano, Adrian's intended bride." Emma felt something she had no right to feel. A tightening, a small private sting. Adrian's face did not change. Valentina looked Emma up and down. "I saw the video. You're very popular for a woman who folds other people's underwear." Emma's cheeks warmed. Adrian said, "Enough." One word. The room obeyed. Valentina's mouth closed. Victor watched the exchange with interest. Emma noticed everything. The way Victor studied Adrian's reaction, the way Valentina's hand tightened around her cup, the way Adrian did not sit until Emma did. This was not breakfast. This was theater. Victor leaned back. "I came to ask a simple question. Why is Miss Clarke in your home?" Adrian looked at Emma, not asking permission, warning her. Then he said, "Because she is under my protection." Victor's smile widened. "That is not an answer." Adrian pulled out the chair beside him. Emma understood the silent instruction. "Sit beside me." She hated that she obeyed, not because he commanded it, but because the room felt like a trap, and he felt like the only dangerous thing standing between her and its teeth. Adrian waited until she sat. Then he looked at Victor. "She is also the woman I am considering marrying." The room went dead. Emma's head snapped toward him. Valentina stood so fast, her chair scraped the marble. "What did you say?" Adrian did not look at her. Victor's expression went still. Emma wanted to kick Adrian under the table, but shock had locked her legs. Adrian's hand rested near hers on the table. Not touching, close enough for everyone to notice, close enough for Emma to feel heat from his skin. Victor laughed softly. "You expect me to believe that?" "No," Adrian said. "I expect you to repeat it." Emma finally found her voice. "Adrian?" He turned to her, and for the first time, something like apology passed through his eyes, soft enough that only she could see it, dangerous enough that the room could misunderstand it. Victor saw exactly what Adrian wanted him to see: possession, attachment, a weakness. The older man's house slid to Emma. "Well," he said, "that changes everything." Emma knew then that Adrian had turned her into bait. After Victor and Valentina left, Emma did not wait for the elevator doors to close before spinning toward him. "Are you out of your mind?" Adrian stood in the center of the penthouse, hands in his pockets, expression carved from stone. "I needed Victor to believe you were too visible to touch. You told them you might marry me." "Yes." "You didn't ask." "No." She laughed, stunned and furious. "Do women in your world usually get a warning before becoming fake fiancés? Or is this your polite version?" His jaw tightened. "It was necessary. For you. For you. You made me a bigger target. I made you a public one. There's a difference." Emma stared at him. "Explain it." "If Victor hurts a laundromat worker connected to a stolen letter, No one cares. If Victor hurts the woman, the city thinks I chose over Valentina Cassano. Every family asks why. Every enemy watches. Every ally chooses sides. Imas Anga faltered, but did not disappear. So I'm protected by gossip, by scandal. That's disgusting. It's effective. I don't want effective. I want honest. Adrian looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, "Honest will get worse. Try me." He walked to the window. City light, cutting his profile in gold and shadow. My uncle thinks power is inherited through fear. My mother believed power is inherited through loyalty. My brother believed neither. He wanted out. Adrian's voice became quieter. He fell in love with a woman outside our world. Had a child. Hid them. Then he died in a car explosion that my uncle blamed on the Russians. Emma stepped closer despite herself. "You think Victor did it?" "I know now." "Because of the letter." Adrian nodded. "And because the letter says Leo carries documents that prove my brother's son inherits half the Bellucci estate. A child inherits mafia money. A trust. Properties. Legitimate companies. Enough to weaken Victor forever." Emma breathed out slowly. "And Valentina. Her family wants the marriage. Victor wants me tied to her because she is easier to predict than a woman who refuses to hand over a letter while being threatened." Emma looked at him. The anger shifted again. "Not gone. Changed. You still should have asked me." "Yes," he said. The simple admission disarmed her more than any excuse could have. Adrian turned from the window. "I'm asking now." She folded her arms. "Asking what?" "Stand beside me long enough to find Leo. In public. People will think you are mine. In private. You owe me nothing." The word mine should have angered her. It did. But it also lit something dangerous beneath her ribs. She hated that too. "And if I say no, I'll still protect you." She searched his face. "You don't make it easy to hate you." "No," he said softly. "But you should try." The first public appearance happened that night. Adrian called it necessary. Emma called it insanity. A charity gala at a restored Brooklyn theater. Chandeliers. Marble stairs. Cameras flashing outside beneath black umbrellas. Men in tuxedos. Women in gowns. Security everywhere. Hidden and obvious. Emma wore the burgundy dress again because it felt like armor now. When the car door opened, noise crashed over her. Reporters shouted, "Emma, are you Adrian Bellucci's girlfriend? Did you steal from him? Is the engagement with Valentina over?" "Emma, look this way." She froze. Adrian appeared beside her. His hand hovered near the small of her back. He did not touch. He waited. Emma looked up at him. Overwhelmed. His voice lowered so only she could hear. "May I?" It was such a small question. It almost undid her. She nodded. His hand settled lightly against her back. Warm. Steady. Not possessive for the cameras. Protective. He guided her forward. The crowd parted. Inside, every rich person who had ever looked through women like Emma suddenly looked directly at her. Some smiled with fascination. Some with disgust. Some with calculation. Valentina Cassano stood near the champagne tower in silver silk. Beautiful enough to make the room feel cruel. She approached with a smile sharp as glass. "Emma, she said sweetly. You look transformed. Emma smiled back. So do you. I almost didn't recognize you without a stolen room key in your hand. Valentina's expression flickered. Adrian looked down at Emma. Not warning. Admiring. Victor approached moments later, with a bishop, a judge, and two men Emma suspected owned entire neighborhoods. He kissed her hand without touching it. Miss Clarke, he said. What an unexpected rise. Emma held his hazer. People say that when they expected you to stay beneath them, the judge coughed. Adrian's thumb moved once against her back. A small touch. A silent approval. The evening became a blur of danger disguised as elegance. Adrian introduced her to men who kissed her knuckles and women who smiled like knives. Emma learned quickly that mafia rooms were not loud. They were quiet, because everyone was listening for weakness. At midnight, Adrian led her to a balcony above the theater lobby. Rain washed the glass roof overhead. Emma finally breathed. I hate this, she whispered. I know. I hate how they look at me. I know. She turned. Do you? Adrian looked down at the ballroom. His profile was cold again. They look at you like you don't belong, because belonging is the only weapon they have left. Emma's throat tightened. He turned to her. You unsettled them tonight. You spilled champagne on myself. You insulted my uncle in front of a federal judge. He deserved it. He did. For one suspended moment, they smiled at each other. Small, private, dangerous. Then Adrian's phone buzzed. His expression changed as he read the message. Emma knew before he spoke. What happened? We found Leo. The child was in Queens. Not in some dramatic fortress or secret estate, but in a narrow apartment above a closed bakery, watched by a tired woman named Mrs. Alvarez, who had been paid years ago by Adrian's mother to keep a boy safe without asking questions. Leo was 6 years old. He had dark curls, serious brown eyes, and a toy dinosaur clutched so tightly in his hand it looked like a shield. He hid behind Mrs. Alvarez when Adrian entered. Adrian stopped immediately. Emma stood beside him in the small apartment, still wearing the gala dress beneath Adrian's black coat. The contrast felt unreal, a mafia boss facing a frightened child. Neither knew what to do with the other. Mrs. Alvarez looked from Adrian to Emma. Yuri, his uncle. Adrian nodded once. Leo's eyes filled with fear. Emma crouched slowly, careful not to move too close. Hi, Leo, she said softly. Emma. The boy did not answer. That's a very serious dinosaur, she said. Leo looked down at the toy. He bites. I can tell. Adrian watched in silence. Emma shifted, sitting on the floor now, despite the expensive dress. I work at a laundromat. That means I know all about dinosaurs. Leo frowned. No, you don't. I do. Socks disappear in dryers because tiny invisible dinosaurs eat them. Leo's suspicion wavered. That's not true. Probably not, Emma admitted. But it makes laundry more interesting. The boy stared at her. Then, slowly, he stepped out from behind Mrs. Alvarez. Adrian's face changed. Emma saw it, and it hurt. He looked terrified. Not of guns, not of enemies, not of death, of tenderness. Leo looked at Adrian. Are you bad? The room froze. Adrian did not soften his answer. I've done bad things. Emma's heart pulled tight. Leo's fingers tightened around the dinosaur. Adrian crouched then, awkwardly, as if kneeling before a child was harder than facing an army. But I won't do them to you. Leo studied him. Did you know my dad? Adrian's control cracked. Just barely. Yes. Was he bad too? Adrian's voice lowered. No. He was better than all of us. Leo seemed to accept this, with the solemnity only children had. Then he looked back at Emma. Is he safe? Emma felt Adrian's gaze on her. She should not answer for him. She barely trusted him herself. But she remembered the way he had waited to touch her back. The way he had called the police because she asked him not to make the laundromat ugly. The way he had admitted ugly truths rather than dress them in comfort. Emma looked at Leo. I think, she said carefully, he is trying very hard to be safe for you. Adrian looked away. That was when the first window shattered. Emma did not even hear the gunshot at first. She heard Leo scream. Adrian moved faster than thought. He swept the child behind him, shoved Emma toward the hallway, and pulled a gun from beneath his jacket as his men surged into the apartment. Go, he ordered. Emma grabbed Leo's hand. The hallway exploded into chaos, bodyguards shouting. Mrs. Alvarez crying. Feet pounding downstairs. Adrian stayed behind them, shielding the retreat with his body. At the bottom of the building, black SUVs screeched to the curb. A bullet struck the bakery window. Glass rained across the sidewalk. Emma pulled Leo against her chest and covered his head with her arms. Then Adrian was there. He lifted Leo with one arm and pushed Emma behind him with the other. His body became a wall for one terrible second. Emma saw what the world meant when it whispered his name. Adrian Bellucci did not panic. He became colder, sharper, a man shaped by violence and grief. Now, using both to protect a child and a woman who had entered his life through a laundry pocket. Emma, he said, voice calm over the chaos. She looked at him, shaking. Stay behind me. This time, she did not argue. The safe house was on Long Island, hidden beyond iron gates and winter trees, facing a dark stretch of water that churned under a moonless sky. Leo fell asleep on the couch, wrapped in a cashmere blanket, still holding his dinosaur. Emma sat near him, unable to stop touching his hair every few minutes to make sure he was real and breathing. Adrian stood by the fireplace, speaking quietly to his men. Victor had found Leo, which meant there was a leak, which meant someone close to Adrian had betrayed him. Bedam. The betrayal had a name. Marco. The bodyguard who had taken Emma's phone. The man who had traced the threatening message. The man who had stood behind Adrian for 4 years. They found him trying to leave through the service gate. Adrian brought him into the library. Emma should not have been there. She knew it. Adrian told her to stay upstairs, but Leo woke crying, asking for Emma, and she carried him down just as Marco was forced to his knees between 2 armed men. Adrian stood in front of him, expression blank. Marco's face was bruised from whatever had happened at the gate. I did it for my sister, Marco said hoarsely. Victor had her. Adrian's voice was soft. Victor always has someone. He said he only wanted the address. I didn't know he would send shooters. You knew enough. Marco looked at Emma then. A terrible. Pleading. Look. Tell him. Marco said. Tell him I had no choice. Emma froze. Everyone looked at her. Adrian did not. His gaze stayed on Marco. But she felt him listening. Emma looked at Leo asleep against her shoulder. Then, at Marco. I believe you were afraid, she said quietly. But you still chose to put that fear on a child. Marco broke. A sob tore from him. Adrian closed his eyes for one moment. Then he said, "Take him downstairs." Marco began begging. Emma's stomach twisted. Adrian looked at her then, and she saw the war inside him, not between mercy and violence, but between the man he was expected to be and the man her presence kept forcing him to see. "Don't ask," he said quietly. Emma held Leo closer. "I wasn't going to." His expression changed. That seemed to hurt him more. Later, while the house slept uneasily around them, Emma found Adrian alone on the terrace facing the black water. He had removed his suit jacket. His shirt sleeves were rolled to his forearms, revealing more tattoos, names, dates, symbols she did not understand. He did not turn when she opened the door. "You should sleep," he said. "So should you." "I don't sleep much." "That sounds unhealthy." "It keeps people alive." She stood beside him, leaving space between their shoulders. The ocean wind moved through her hair. "Did you kill him?" she asked. "No." She looked at him. Adrian kept his eyes on the water. "I sent him to find his sister. If he runs, he runs. If he comes back, he comes back." Emma exhaled slowly. "You did that because of me." His jaw tightened. "No." She almost smiled. "Liar." He looked at her then. There was nothing soft in his eyes, but there was something honest. "You make cruelty feel louder," he said. The words hit her deeply. She looked away before he could see too much. For a while, they stood in silence. Then Adrian said, "When my mother was alive, she used to say, a person's soul shows in what they protect when no one is rewarding them." Emma looked at him. "She would have liked you." That hurt more than a compliment. Emma swallowed. "You don't know that." "I do. You barely know me. I know you protected a letter. I know you argued with a man everyone fears. I know you sat on the floor in a gala dress to make a child less afraid. I know you hate being pitied. I know you act like you're not scared, because you learned fear makes people comfortable when it belongs to women like you." Emma could not speak. The wind rushed between them. Adrian's hand lifted. For one breath, she thought he would touch her cheek. He stopped himself. His fingers closed slowly into a fist. "Go inside." "Emma." Her voice came out quiet. "Why do you keep doing that?" His eyes darkened. "Doing what?" "Almost touching me." The silence became intimate enough to be dangerous. Adrian looked at her mouth, then back to her eyes. "Because if I touch you," he said, "I don't know if I'll be strong enough to stop." Emma's breath caught. He stepped back immediately, as if his own honesty had crossed a line. "You should be afraid of that." "I am." "Good." But not only afraid. Adrian went still. The confession hung between them, fragile and terrifying. Then Leo cried from inside. Emma turned first. By the time she reached the door, Adrian's armor was back in place, but she had seen what lived beneath it, and so had he. The next 2 days passed like a luxury nightmare. Emma became the woman the city could not stop discussing. The laundromat girl, the fake fiancée, The thief. The saint. The scandal. Victor made sure the story grew uglier. Photos appeared online of Emma entering Adrian's penthouse. Articles called her a gold digger. Anonymous sources claimed she had seduced Adrian to escape poverty. A talk show host joked that laundry girls are learning new ways to fold billionaires. Emma pretended not to care. Adrian did not pretend. He bought the media company that aired the segment. By lunchtime, the host apologized on live television, with sweat shining under the studio lights. Emma found Adrian in the safe house office and slammed the laptop closed in front of him. You can't just buy everyone who insults me. I didn't buy him. You bought his company. That was more efficient. She stared at him. He stared back calmly. You are impossible. I've been called worse. I'm serious. So you can't burn down the world because someone hurts my feelings. Adrian leaned back in his chair. Watch me. The possessiveness in his voice should have frightened her. It did. But beneath it was something she had never had before. Someone furious on her behalf. Not because she was useful. Not because she was pretty enough to display, or thin enough to defend, or rich enough to matter, because she was Emma. And he had decided the world had been careless with her long enough. She hated how much she wanted to cry. Instead, she said, I don't need revenge. I need respect. Adrian's expression shifted. He stood slowly. I know. Do you? Yes. Then stop making decisions around me like I'm furniture. He came around the desk. Not too close. Close enough. You're right. Emma blinked. Adrian Bellucci, admitting fault, still felt like watching a building bow. He continued, I've spent my life keeping people alive by controlling every room before they enter it. With you? I keep forgetting. Control feels too much like a cage. Her anger softened, despite every defense she had built. Then ask me. For what? For what I want. Adrian's Helters. What do you want? Emma. It was such a dangerous question. No one had asked it like that before. Not as politeness. As if the answer mattered enough to change the room, Emma looked toward the window where Leo was playing outside under guard. His dinosaur stomping through wet grass. I want Leo safe. He will be. I want my job back when this ends. You'll have it. I want people to stop acting like I became valuable, because you noticed me. Adrian's face tightened. And I want... She stopped. His voice lowered. Say it. She looked at him. I want to know whether any of this is real. Adrian did not answer quickly. That was how she knew the answer mattered. Finally, he said, The danger is real. The scandal is real. The fake engagement is not... Emma swallowed. And the way you look at me, his restraint faltered. Just slightly. That, he said, is becoming a problem. The air changed. Emma took one step back because she needed to remember how to breathe. Adrian did not follow, but his eyes did. That night, Victor sent the video. It arrived on Emma's phone from an unknown number. She watched it alone in the hallway, the screen shaking in her hand. Adrian stood in a dark room with Victor. Recorded from a hidden angle. Victor's voice was clear. The laundromat girl has made you sentimental. Adrian's reply came cold. She is a shield. Nothing more. Emma stopped breathing. Victor laughed. You expect me to believe that? I expect you to keep chasing the wrong weakness. The video ended. Emma stared at the black screen. She told herself it was strategy. She told herself Adrian lied to enemies. She told herself she knew better than to trust a man who had built his life on secrets. Still, the words found every old wound inside her. A shield. Nothing more. Of course, that was what she was. Not chosen. Used. Positioned between powerful men, and called protected because it sounded prettier than bait. She packed her bag with hands that did not shake until the very end. At the stairs, Leo appeared in dinosaur pajamas. "Are you leaving?" Emma froze. Her heart cracked. She crouched in front of him. Just for a little while. Did Uncle Adrian do something bad? Emma closed her eyes. No. Honey. Leo frowned. Then why are you sad? Because I forgot the difference between being seen and being needed. But she did not say that. She touched his cheek. Sometimes grown-ups have to go home, so they remember who they are. Leo hugged her. Emma held him longer than she should have. Then she left through the side entrance with tears burning her eyes and pride holding her spine straight. She made it back to Brooklyn before dawn. The laundromat was dark when she unlocked the back door. It smelled like detergent and metal and home. Emma stood in the familiar room, breathing hard, and tried not to fall apart. Then she saw the envelope on the counter. Not Adrian's mother's letter. A new one. White paper. No seal. Her name written across the front. Emma. Her skin went cold. She opened it. Inside was a photograph of Leo sleeping in the safe house. On the back, one sentence. If you want the child to live, bring the original letter to Est. Mary S. before midnight. Emma staggered back. They thought she had the original. Victor did not know Adrian had it. And if Emma told Adrian, he would come with an army. Leo might die in the crossfire. People would die because of her again. Then her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered with shaking fingers. Victor's voice was warm. Miss Clarke, you disappointed me by leaving Adrian, but you impressed me by making it easy. Emma looked at the photograph. If you touch that boy, please. I don't want to hurt children. Children are investments. But accidents happen in families like ours. You don't have the letter. No. But Adrian will bring it for you. Emma went still. Victor laughed softly. You see, my dear, to men like Adrian can survive betrayal. Bules. Evengief. But a woman who makes him feel human, that is much harder to survive. Emma whispered. I am not important to him. Then, why did he buy a television network? Because a stranger called you fat. The line went dead. Emma stood alone in the laundromat as morning light turned the windows gray. For the first time, she understood the real danger. Not that Adrian was using her. That Victor knew Adrian might not be. At 8 o'clock, Adrian Bellucci walked into the laundromat like a man who had not slept and had already decided someone would pay for it. The bell chimed. Emma was behind the counter, wearing her apron again. He stopped when he saw her. Relief flashed across his face so nakedly it stunned them both. Then rage covered it. You left. You called me a shield. His expression changed. You saw the video. Yes. Victor sent it. I know. No. Adrian said. Voice low. You don't. That conversation happened before the gala, before Leo, before I watched you sit beside him all night because he was afraid of thunder. Before I started standing outside rooms because if I came inside, I would want to stay. Emma's throat tightened. Adrian stepped closer, then stopped himself again. Always stopping. Always fighting himself around her. I said you were a shield, because I needed Victor to believe I was still capable of using you without caring. And were you? The question cut through the laundromat. Adrian looked at her for a long time. Yes, he said. Emma flinched. His jaw tightened. At first. For 1 hour. Maybe 2. Then, you looked at me in an alley like I was no different from every man who had ever taken choice from you. And I hated that you were right. Her eyes burned. Adrian. No. Hear me. His voice roughened. I have used people my entire life. I have moved them like pieces because if I didn't, they died or betrayed me. But with you, every move felt like theft. Every lie felt too close to losing, the only clean thing that walked into my world by accident. Emma's tears spilled before she could stop them. Adrian saw and looked almost wounded. I don't know how to love gently, he said. I don't know how to want without turning protective into possession. But I know this. I would burn the Bellucci name to the ground before I let Victor make you believe you are nothing more than a shield. The laundromat was silent. Machines humming, rain, beginning again outside. Emma pulled Victor's envelope from her apron pocket and placed it on the counter. Adrian read it. Every part of him went still. Leo, he said. He has a photo of him sleeping. Adrian's face went deadly. Emma grabbed his wrist before he could turn. The touch shocked them both. Don't go in blind, she said. His eyes dropped to her hand on his skin, then to her face. I won. You will if you were scared. I'm not scared. Yes. You are. Emma stepped closer. You're terrified of losing him. And me. And you think violence is the only language fear understands. His breath changed. She felt it under her fingers. What are you asking me to do? He said. Trust me. His eyes searched hers. The hardest thing a man like Adrian Bellucci could do was not kill. It was trust. By midnight, St. Briffin, Mary's church, stood abandoned beneath the rain. Its stained glass windows cracked. Its stone steps slick with water. People had come there to confess sins. Now men came to create them. Emma walked up the aisle alone. At least, it looked that way. Her coat was soaked. Her curls clung to her cheeks. In her hand, she carried a cream envelope sealed with red wax. Not the real letter. A perfect copy. Adrian had hated the plan. That was why it had a chance of working. Victor stood near the altar with 4 men and Valentina Cassano at his side. Emma stopped halfway down the aisle. The church smelled like dust, rain, and old candles. Victor smiled. Miss Clarke, you have such a gift for walking into rooms where you don't belong. Emma held up the envelope. Where's Leo? Victor sighed. So direct. A side door opened. Leo was brought in by one of Victor's men. Frightened, but unharmed. His dinosaur was missing. That made Emma angrier than any weapon in the room. Leo cried. Emma forced herself not to run. I am here. Sweetheart. Victor watched her closely. Where is Adrian? Not coming. Valentina laughed. You expect us to believe he let you come alone? Emma looked at her. I left him once. I can do it again. Victor's smile faded slightly. Good. Let him believe pride could make her stupid. He gestured. Bring it. Emma walked forward. Every step echoed. Above them, in the dark balcony, something moved. Victor did not notice. Emma did. Adrian was there, silent as judgment. She reached the altar and held out the envelope. Victor took it. His fingers trembled slightly. For all his polish, he was afraid too. He broke the seal. Read the first line. His face changed. This is not. The church doors burst open. Black-suited men flooded in from every side. Valentina screamed. Victor grabbed Emma and pulled a gun to her side. Adrian stepped from the shadows above the aisle. He did not run. He did not shout. He descended the balcony stairs with terrifying calm. Let her go, he said. Victor laughed, but it cracked at the edges. You always were dramatic, and you always hid behind someone smaller. Victor pressed the weapon closer to Emma. Adrian stopped. Every man in the church aimed at every other man. The world narrowed to breath. Rain. And the space between Adrian's eyes and Emma's. She was afraid, but she trusted him. That was the terrifying part. Victor shouted, Give me the real letter. Adrian reached inside his coat. Emma's heart slammed. He pulled out the original letter. Victor's eyes lit. Put it down. Adrian looked at Emma, then at Leo, then back at Victor. No. Victor's smile vanished. You think I won't kill her? Adrian's voice lowered. I think you've spent your life mistaking patience for weakness. Victor's hand tightened. Adrian took one step forward. 6 years ago, you killed my brother. You sold him to the Kovac family and watched his car burn on the expressway. Victor's face twisted. You ungrateful. You stole from my mother while she was dying. You hunted a child because his existence made you less rich, and tonight, you put a gun against the only woman in this city who ever made me want to be more than what you raised. Emma stopped breathing. Victor laughed wildly. Beautiful speech. But speeches don't win wars. No. Adrian said. Witnesses do. Victor froze. From the shadows along the side chapel, men emerged. Not Adrian's men. Older men. Rival leaders. Lawyers. A federal detective Emma recognized from the laundromat footage. Mrs. Alvarez stood beside one of them, shaking but unbowed. Hidden surveillance cameras blinked red from the broken choir loft. Victor looked at Valentina. Her face had gone pale. She stepped away from him. You recorded this, Victor whispered. Adrian's eyes never left Emma. She taught me not to make places ugly when there are better ways to end things. Victor snarled and shoved Emma forward. For one violent second, everything broke. A gunshot cracked through the church. Emma fell hard against the aisle. Leo screamed. Men shouted. Adrian crossed the distance like a storm. He took Victor down before anyone else could reach him, slamming him against the altar steps. Another shot shattered a candle stand. Glass rained from a stained window. Bodyguards moved. Valentina sobbed. The church filled with chaos. Emma crawled toward Leo. A man grabbed her coat. She twisted, elbowing him with everything she had. He stumbled. She reached Leo and pulled him into her arms. "Close your eyes," she whispered. Adrian turned at the sound of her voice. For one heartbeat. Their eyes met across the ruined church. Then Victor pulled a hidden blade. Emma saw it before Adrian did. Adrian. He moved, but not fast enough to avoid it completely. The blade cut across his side. His face tightened, but he did not fall. His hand closed around Victor's wrist. The sound Victor made was terrible. Adrian leaned close to him. No one else heard what he said. Emma did. Because the church had gone silent around them, "You touched what was mine to protect." Victor collapsed to his knees. Not dead. Defeated. Adrian stepped away from him and looked at Emma. Blood darkened the side of his shirt. But he stood like pain. Was merely another language he refused to answer. Emma ran to him. This time, he did not stop her. She grabbed his face with both hands. "You're re-hurt." His eyes searched hers. Almost disoriented by her touch. "You came back. You idiot," she whispered. Crying now. "I was the bait." "No." His hand lifted, finally touching her cheek. "You were the plan." She laughed through tears because that was awful and beautiful and exactly him. Around them, men were being restrained. Victor was taken away. Valentina sat in the front pew with her perfect hair ruined by rain and fear. Leo clung to Emma's coat. Adrian looked at the child. Then at Emma. Then, slowly, he sank to one knee. For one terrifying second, Emma thought he was collapsing, but he stayed upright, kneeling in the aisle of a broken church, with blood at his side and rain falling through shattered glass. He removed something from his pocket. "Leo es dinosaur. I found him," Adrian said quietly. Leo took it with trembling hands. Then he threw his arms around Adrian's neck. Adrian closed his eyes. His hand hovered over the boy's back. Uncertain. Emma whispered, "Hold him." So he did. And in that ruined church, surrounded by enemies, broken glass, and the wreckage of an empire, Adrian Bellucci held his brother's son for the first time like something holy. 3 months later, the laundromat reopened under a new sign: Clarke's Laundry Care. Emma had argued about the name for 2 weeks. Adrian had argued back that if her name was going to be dragged across every headline in New York, it might as well be printed beautifully in gold on a storefront she owned. She refused to let him buy it, outright. So they compromised. A legal loan. Fair terms. Her signature. Her business. He hated compromises. She loved watching him survive them. The laundromat was brighter now. New machines. Warm lights. A reading corner for kids. A wall where people could pin job flyers. Shelter resources. And handwritten notes offering help every Tuesday. Mrs. Alvarez came by with Leo. Every Tuesday. Leo lost at least one sock and blamed invisible dinosaurs. Adrian came less predictably. Not because he cared less, because Emma had told him she needed to know he could let her live without surrounding every breath. So sometimes he waited outside in the black car. Sometimes he came in and sat near the back with a newspaper he never read. Sometimes he folded towels terribly until Emma took them from him with a sigh. He was still feared, still dangerous, still a man whose name changed conversations. But with her, he was learning restraint, not as denial, but as devotion. One rainy evening, after closing, Emma found him standing near the same counter where she had once held his mother's letter. He wore a black coat. Of course he did. His hair was damp from rain. His tattoos disappeared beneath his collar. His face was calm. But Emma knew him better now. He was nervous. That discovery delighted her. "What did you do?" she asked. His eyes narrowed slightly. "Why do you assume I did something?" "Because you look like a man about to make a dramatic decision. I make efficient decisions. You bought a media company because a man insulted me. That was efficient." Emma laughed softly and locked the front door. The laundromat glowed around them, quiet and clean. Outside, rain slid down the windows just as it had the night he walked into her life and turned every machine, every folding table, every ordinary object into the beginning of a dangerous love story. Adrian placed an envelope on the counter. Cream paper. Red wax. Emma's smile faded. "What is that?" "Not my mother's letter." She stepped closer. The seal had one letter pressed into it. Beam. Her breath caught. "Adrian. I wrote it before I came in." "You wrote me a letter. I'm better with controlled statements." "That sounds romantic." His mouth curved slightly. "I'm trying." She picked up the envelope, but did not open it yet. "What does it say?" His eyes held hers. "That I don't know how to be loved without expecting it to cost blood. That I don't know how to stand in peaceful places without looking for exits. That I have done things you should never have to carry." Emma's throat tightened. And that I love you." The words were quiet. No music. No dramatic storm. No audience. Just a laundromat. Rain. And a man who had once ruled through fear now standing before the one woman whose opinion could still make him tremble. Emma's eyes filled. Adrian continued. Voice lower now. "I love you in ways I don't always understand. Possessively. Imperfectly. Carefully. Because you taught me careful is not weakness. I love you enough to stay outside when you need space. Enough to come in when you call. Enough to spend the rest of my life learning the difference." Emma pressed the envelope to her chest, the same way she had held his mother's letter. Only this time, no one was trying to steal it. This time, it was hers. Adrian watched her like he was waiting for a sentence. Emma stepped closer. He did not move, still giving her the choice. Always. Now, giving her the choice. She reached up and touched his face. "You're still terrifying," she whispered. "I know. And bossy. Yes. And dramatic. Efficient." She smiled through tears. "I love you too." Adrian closed his eyes like the words struck deeper than any blade. When he opened them, something in him had changed. Not softened. Freed. He bent slowly, giving her time to pull away. She did not. Their first kiss tasted like rain. Salt. And everything they had survived without saying. It was not gentle at first because neither of them knew how to reach for happiness without fear. But then Adrian slowed. His hands framed her face as if she was something he had no right to hold and no strength left to release. Outside, a black SUV waited at the curb. Inside, the dryers hummed like a quiet heartbeat. And Emma Clarke, once laughed at for washing rich men's clothes, stood in the light of her own laundromat, holding a letter from the most dangerous man in New York. Not a threat, Not a secret. A promise. Adrian rested his forehead against hers. What do you want now? He asked. Emma looked around the laundromat. Then, at the rain. Then, at the man who had walked into her ordinary life carrying war and somehow left, pieces of his heart folded neatly into her hands. She smiled. Lock the door, she said. Then help me fold towels. Adrian Bellucci. Mafia Boss. Feared by families, judges, traitors, and kings of the underworld. Looked at a basket of clean white towels like it might be the most difficult challenge of his life. Then he removed his coat, rolled up his sleeves, and stayed.